Best thing about TIO Stadium is it's a stadium for everyone.
Footy in the Territory means an involvement for all players, administrators, and just the passion for the game.
Football has really been a way of life for me for many years here. I actually can't remember being in the Territory and not being part of football at some capacity, or spending in the old days, Gardens Oval, and more recently at TIO, and you just know that your weekends are football. During the wet season, that's what you do. In the dry season, you go camping.
Footy in the Territory means so much to me. I played the game and have been involved with it now for 40 odd years. It's always just been such an important part of my life, but the life of people in the Territory as well.
I was here for the opening in January 1991. My earliest memories were a couple of years prior to that, when this stadium was being built.
Initially, TIO didn't have lights. I remember the first time they turned the lights on, and to see the lights on out there in the suburbs of Darwin, because it was by far the biggest stadium we have, was just amazing.
I remember Marrara Stadium when it first opened, and we moved away from Gardens Oval to Marrara Stadium, and then TIO came on board I think about 10 years ago and got a new name, and people knew exactly what you were talking about when you talked about the TIO Stadium.
The best thing about this stadium is it's the premier stadium in the Northern Territory.
The stadium itself has changed a lot. The surfaces, definitely, we've done a lot of work on that. The actual stadium and the amenities is really getting up to a good standard, and everyone's comfortable there no matter who you are, and everyone loves TIO Stadium.
Well, there have been massive changes, there's no doubt, to the stadium. It's just grown from being a small stadium in the northern suburbs of Darwin to being a facility the equal of any. It's very much a part of the Territory.
The volunteers and people that help out, well, where would we be without them? They're the backbone to the team, and we wouldn't be able to function without them.
You can't play a game without umpires, you can't play it without managers, and I think often we underestimate how critical they are.
Without those support staff, you probably wouldn't have a game.
You have to have all those people involved, from the people who cut the oranges to the volunteers. Everyone's an important part of the game. There's no game without their involvement.
The thing I remember most about Territory football is probably the Thunder Grand Final, when they won by 1 point.
The highlight is when you get to Grand Final day and those other finals matches, like the first semi-final and the preliminary final, where someone gets eliminated. They're big matches, I'm not even playing, I broadcast the games, but I have sleepless nights waiting for the big games to come on.
I started playing football in 2014 for Palmerston Magpies, and I'm still there today.
Football is growing at a rapid rate. We've got the introduction of the Crows women's team, but we've been playing women's football here for a couple of years now, so it certainly is growing.
I love the women's round. It's coming up in a few rounds, and we celebrate the contribution that women have, not only playing the game, but in administration, umpires, coaches. Women are seen through every facet of the game now, so women's round's becoming very important.
The biggest change in footy in the Territory, I think, is what's happened in recent times when women started to get involved in the game more. It grew from 7,000 one year to 17,500 the following year. We're in for some great times in the future, but their arrival on the football scene has been second to none. Well, I think the best thing of having a stadium like that in Darwin is you can have all sorts of events there, because it holds a big crowd, 16 or 17,000 people can pack in there.
The stadium is here for the whole Territory community. We've had Yothu Indie concerts, we've had soccer, Nitro Circus, we had cricket here. Cricket Australia played Bangladesh here in 2004. So it gives that opportunity to hold multicultural events.
Australian rules is arguably the biggest sport in the Territory. It doesn't matter where you go across the Territory, to the far-flung places, out in those remote communities, to these major centres, people want to talk about football.
Football in the Northern Territory is a way of life.
I think diversity is an important part of it as well. There's no doubt when the Tiwi Bombers joined the competition those years ago, showed that football was saying everybody and anybody can play this game.
We're developing really good pathways for young kids to see a future in football, and what that results in is really good wellbeing outcomes for our young people. Look, it's critical, and I've been to communities where football is really the glue that keeps that community together.
TIO Stadium has a great atmosphere, especially when you're playing and there's a good crowd watching. when the crowd's behind you and just cheering you on and lifting the team up as one.
That's a really great thing about TIO Stadium. It really is built for spectators.